Good afternoon, everyone. Hello. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Seabury for this exciting event. My name is Renee Bernasconi, and I'm the president and CEO of Seabury Incorporated and a member of the Leading Age Board of Leading Age Connecticut. Joining us in the audience is Mag Morelli, who is the president of Leading Age Connecticut. It is our distinct honor to host today's momentous occasion. We gather not only to witness the signing of two transformative bills, but also to celebrate a strengthened commitment to the health and well-being of seniors across Connecticut. House Bill 5001 is a testament to our shared goals, providing comprehensive consumer information, assistance, and assurance when one is seeking or receiving long-term services or supports. Meanwhile, the Governor's Bill 5046 enhances the support systems necessary for seniors to remain safe and informed in a skilled nursing facility or an assisted living community. These legislative milestones reflect our dedication to creating an environment where every senior can lead a healthier, safer, and more fulfilling life. Today's signing ceremony is a collaborative achievement made possible through the tireless efforts of our elected officials, advocacy groups, and every individual here who has rallied behind these critical pieces of legislation. We are fortunate to have Governor Lamont and many esteemed guests with us today who have played a crucial role in this journey. Thank you for being here and for your excitement about this event. Now, without further ado, we will get started with today's program. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this momentous occasion. Thank you to Seabury and Leading Age for hosting us. We are here to celebrate the signing of 5001 and 5046. As was just mentioned, they are transformative in so many different ways. They promote a system of care that rewards quality nursing homes, strengthens transparency, and promotes leading practices and holds poor performing homes accountable. It improves standards for home and community-based services and increased assisted living facilities, managed residential community transparency, and so much more. We want to thank Governor Lamont and Speaker Ritter for making aging issues at the forefront of session 2024, putting their faith in the Aging Committee to get the job done. We thank you, Governor. My co-chair, Senator Hochadel, could not be here today, but I speak for both of us when I say we have an amazing team. As Vesta Kelly said, snowflakes are one of nature's most fragile things, but just look at what they can do when they stick together. Our motto has been, together we can, Jans and I's, and yes, we did it. It takes a strong team to get bills across the finish line. Thank you to members of the Aging Committee for your dedication and time and commitment, and a special shout out to our vice chairs, Rep. Mary Fortier, Senator Pat Billie Miller, ranking members Mitch Bolinsky, Rep. Mitch Bolinsky, and Senator Lisa Seminara. We also have Rep. Foncello here and Rep. Hughes, and did I miss anyone? And Mary's over there. And Rep. Dominique Johnson, who served as a caucus chair, which means she was the liaison between our Aging Committee and the Speaker, and helped us so much. Dominique, give a wave. I also want to thank, because maybe some people don't realize what it takes, I want to thank my CEC, Kess O'Halloran, and just raise your hand when I do. Her experiences in talking me off the cliff, because there were many times, and I'd call her, can you come to my office? I got to talk. So I thank you, Kess. Will Cromwell, did Will make it? He was coming. He's our policy person, and I just admire him for his dedication and can-do attitude. He makes it happen. Nick Panzarella for being every step of the way, day or night, making sure we did it right. He's the one that writes up the bills, our LCO. Tim Bergen, who's in the speaker's office, just for answering all my silly questions, which there were many. Tony Lombardi, who was our clerk for aging, who kept us organized in a task, and also Dana Nestor for his policy expertise. Adam Johnson for helping us get the bills over the finish line, along with Representative Zawitowski. It was much appreciated. Claudio Gutierrez and Zanny Imitowski from OPM, where are you? I'm putting you on the hot seat. They work so closely with the Aging Committee and with the team that just helped us, taught me more about collaboration and making bills better, and that the more voices we hear from different people, different agencies, nursing home owners, et cetera, that it made it a better bill. Amy Porter from Aging and Disability, where are you, Amy? She's over here. And Mairead Painter, our ombudsman, we worked very closely with them. And I love them as our other state agencies. They only care about making life better for our seniors. That's what their job is, and that's what they do. Our state agencies, DPS, DSS, ADS, DCP, and even though it's not a state agency, CWCSEO, which is women, children, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry. We had many partners with the AARP and the Alzheimer's Association. I see AARP is in the house because of their red shirts. And let me just tell a quick story off my script, but the last day of session was a Wednesday, and I heard at 7:30 in the morning that the Senate may not call 5046. And we set off, I'm communicating with my co-chair, what can we do? And we reached out to AARP and the Alzheimer's Association, casted up a quick flyer, we gave it to them, they got it out, they were up at the Senate helping Senator Hochadel and Seminara to lobby everyone, and Senator Kelly, I see, has joined us. So that was good. Thank you to the nursing home owners and providers, because we worked with them, and sometimes they brought something to light that we hadn't realized or hadn't thought of, and helped make them better bills. Thank you to Representative Jason Rojas, Representative Cook, Representative Farrar, Senator Austin, and Representative Tony Walker, and former Representative Kathy Abercrombie, because those were my go-to people and my mentors when I got into a thing, and they would calm me down, right, Michelle? Because navigating the craziness to get the bill through the finish line. Most of all, Jan and I wanted to thank all the seniors, that's all of you, and their families for being strong, for coming out and testifying and telling your stories and sharing your voices. The stories were not always easy to hear, and many times were not, or visiting a nursing home, etc. It just wasn't easy, and it was a tough road, but they kept us motivated. You out there, you kept us motivated. Together, we will eradicate ageism. It is a thing. We have to do our own with ages, and that is one of the things that the area agencies on aging, and Maureen is going to help us to do, is to put out information on aging and build respect and support for our aging population. Thank you. Oh, yes, and now I get to introduce Speaker Ritter.
Well, Jane thanked a lot of people, so I don't have to thank anybody. That's for sure. And I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I had to park in Windsor for this event in Bloomfield. And I think Bloomfield still has it out for me as a town. Sorry, Senator McCoy and Representative Gibson. It goes back to when I beat your all-star team in Little League when I was 12. 3 shutout innings, and I've never been forgiven for that since. But in all seriousness, Jane and others will talk about the bill, and I'll keep my remarks brief here. I'd rather talk about the process that led to the bill. I care as much about that as the Speaker of the House of the state of Connecticut as I do what the ultimate bill says. And so what 5001 means to people who don't know is, yes, it's a speaker's priority, it's a caucus priority, but there are expectations and demands that go with that. And the very first thing is we wanted to pass 187 to 0. Now think about that for a second. If we wanted to pass it 96 votes in the House and 20 votes in the Senate, it'd be a lot easier, it'd be a lot quicker, but would it be as meaningful? Lasting change does not come best from one party dictating to the minority party what the terms and conditions of statewide issues are going to be. Lasting change comes from Democrats and Republicans and independents working together, because the last I checked, the issues that affect seniors, or the issues that affect children's mental health, or the issues that affect people with intellectual and physical disabilities, they don't have party affiliations. They're just all of us here as Connecticut residents. And so what Jane and Mitch and Jan and others did, and Lisa did, is they came together and they passed a bill in our crazy General Assembly, 187 to 0. And when you have a good process, you get a great outcome. So I'm proud to share the stage with so many wonderful people. I know we have a lot of speakers, so I will step down. It's a pleasure to be with all you today. Thank you very much.
And now we have Senator Austin, who is also co-chair of the Appropriations Committee, and a catalyst in helping change some of the aging policies that we met with during the summer. So, Senator Austin.
So good afternoon, everybody. I can't agree with the speakers who have come before me enough. Truly, a good piece of legislation incorporates everybody. It incorporates different parties. It also incorporates different caucuses. It's always talked about that there's a difference between the House and the Senate. And I think that what we do best is when we work together. It's always my motto to work together on things. And I think that this is a perfect piece of legislation to deal with the issues of aging. And this is one of my number one issues, is working with seniors and making sure that everybody is aging in the best quality that they can affect. We don't want to have people in environments that are not good for them. We want them to live out their life with benefits and with actual momentum to continue to live. That is so important. My mom was in a nursing home down in West Hartford, and my sisters and I come from a large Irish Catholic family. We don't always agree on everything, much akin to 187 people. We found a place for my mom that was comfortable. And we don't live on this part of the state. I live in eastern Connecticut. It was an hour and some minutes away from our homes. But we chose a place that would treat my mother with dignity. We chose a place that made her feel comfortable. We chose a place that she was, that she was comfortable in and wanted to stay in. And that was so important. But it also showed me that we needed to make change in our policies. We needed to make change that would make real substantive change on elder care. I hear a lot about child care, and I think that's important. But for me, elder care beats all of that. It is so important to make sure that we are giving people comfortable ways to live and safe ways to live. Thank you very much for coming today, and I want to thank all my colleagues for supporting this bill.
Now we're going to have ADS Commissioner Amy Porter with Mairead Painter, the long-term care ombudsman.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, my name is Amy Porter. I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Aging and Disability Services. And imagine my delight when I found out that the governor was going to be putting in a bill to really focus on the needs of nursing home residents, to realize that the legislature was going to make it a speaker's priority and a caucus priority, and to turn around and walk through hand in hand with Mairead Painter, our state long-term care ombudsman. This team here, it was a great session. It was a lot of work. It was frenetic at times, but the collaboration between the executive branch, the legislative branch, the industry, the residents who came out to testify, the residents who shared their stories at their homes and were able to help all of us see what we might need to do for change. So the department is really excited to be a partner at the table here. We believe that the collection of measures in these two bills will undoubtedly improve the quality of life for people who receive long-term care. We're fortunate in our department to house the long-term care ombudsman program. They, for those of you who know them, I'm sure most of you do, they are a small but mighty group. They make lasting changes. They're here to protect resident rights and to really raise up and amplify the voices of our residents. And so it's my honor to work with Mairead, but also to ask her to share her perspective on the session and these bills and how it ties together with their work. So Mairead.
Good afternoon, and as one of the residents corrected me, I said good morning earlier, and obviously I'm having trouble figuring out what time of day it is. My name is Mairead Painter, and I am the State Long-Term Care Ombudsman, and I want to thank everyone for being here today, but specifically Governor Lamont, Speaker Ritter, thank you, and the Aging Committee for getting us here, and our state partners, as well as our other policymakers. We really couldn't move things forward here in Connecticut, and when I talk about moving things forward, I'm talking about legislation and the things that I hear from residents and family members on a regular basis that they want to see related to change. And so when we say that we amplify your voice through my office, and that really is my job, to take what you say to me and to the individuals, the regional ombudsman, and to amplify that to policymakers, that's what we do. And I have to say, unlike in other states, we have had the opportunity to really have them respond. We also have our partners, and when I talk about partners, I'm talking about AARP as well as individuals who represent the industry. So we have Mag, who's here today. I also see other partners here. We have Tracy from Home Care, and when people come to the table, Christy, in a way that is meaningful and they want to see change, that's when we get change. So what did we get in the way of change? We got change we're going to see meaningful change. Some of the opportunity that is going to be impactful this year, you're going to hear about transparency. Transparency in a way that we haven't had before, and accountability, right? Accountability when there is someone in a nursing home, maybe a management company that's not doing something in a way that holds the standard of care that we expect in our state. That our policymakers have said that's not okay, and that they have passed laws to say that they want to make sure that when the management company comes in or there's an owner in, that there's a high level of transparency and accountability. There is expansion, right? These bills make sure that there's expansion in having the ability to have individuals come in and support nursing homes as receivers, as managers, when we need to put people in place to make sure that there's stability for residents living in these homes. That there's nursing home experience if there's an emergency, right? If there's a water emergency or an evacuation, something unexpected happens and someone has to go somewhere else, or unfortunately a nursing home closure, that individuals have access to nursing homes in their own community, close to family members. And unfortunately, this has happened in the past, and we haven't always had the opportunity to be able to have access to the homes where people wanted to go. And so there were changes made to the transfer and discharge process. And so I think that alone is going to make a big difference for the individuals in our state. Centers of Excellence. I'm really proud and excited about a Center of Excellence because this really helps encourage people, come to the table, show us what you can do. And we want every person living in a long-term care setting here in Connecticut to be able to be proud of where they live, right? We want to know that you're really proud of that. And having an online dashboard. Having the ability for individuals who are choosing a place to go and choosing where they want to receive their long-term services and supports, for you to be able to go online and choose for yourself and look at how is this place or how is this provider performing, and make an informed choice about where you want to receive your care and how you want to receive your care. The implementation of supports and services that are not only anticipated to yield cost savings, but also to afford individuals the opportunity to age with dignity and autonomy in the setting of their choosing, right? So decide where they're going to receive those services and supports. This legislation reflects our state's unwavering commitment to enhance quality of life for all members of our community as we all journey through the process of aging, because we're all getting there, hopefully, right? So I really want to thank everyone here. And I have to say to my state partners, so do our other state agencies, just so you know, it doesn't happen that my office, as an ombudsman, that we always have the opportunity to work with the other state agencies. Oh, they're coming out. The other state agencies and our partners in the way that we do, so thank you very much. And also to the governor's office, legislature, and partners. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now the DSS Commissioner, Andrea Reeves, and she's from Windsor. Woo!
Thank you, Representative. And yes, I am from Windsor, and I'm also the DSS Commissioner that runs Medicaid, so I get really excited about Medicaid, which is great. So I was talking to you a little bit about that. And thank you for the opportunity to be here today. So with the passage of House Bills 5001 and 5046, the Speaker and our legislators, and particularly Governor Lamont, recognize that seniors who live in nursing homes deserve care that is dignified, safe, and accessible. And many of these goals many of these goals have been accomplished today with these bills, and we're really thrilled to be here to talk about them. For Medicaid recipients and their caregivers, Medicaid will now have something called presumptive eligibility, which is really wonderful. So I always think about presumptive eligibility, which is great. It really takes a lot of the uncertainty that comes with trying to figure out how we are going to pay for quality care in a nursing home. I can tell you only in the 18 months that I've had this job that Medicaid is extremely complex, and often it takes far longer than it should to determine eligibility, and that creates uncertainty for residents and their families. But with this bill, with these bills, that will change. There will be a presumption that eligibility is already determined, and an opportunity for that process to unfold as quickly as it should, with no longer than 45 days, and that is really wonderful. So this provision that I just spoke of, coupled with the waitlist exemptions that Marie just spoke of, really allows residents to move from one nursing home to another if they really need to without waiting, again, adding the uncertainty that comes with not knowing about what is next. And there really isn't more that we can ask for as a state. This also puts our residents first by expanding the number of receivers that the state has. So by expanding the definition of receiver, that is a person who is qualified to come in and run a nursing home in the absence of its current management, expands that pool. That pool was extremely small. It really only had maybe a handful of people in it. By expanding the number and the types of people that can join and become a receiver, we now have a larger pool of people who are available to step in when nursing home management needs support or transition. But at the same time, it does prohibit private equity companies or anyone employed by a private equity firm from becoming a receiver. And this in turn reserves the very complex and sensitive nature of transition to those who understand the industry, our state, and most importantly, respect our citizens and our seniors. At DSS, we are proud to support and implement these initiatives that will be passed in these bills, and we know that they will make a substantial contribution to the great care that many of our long-term facilities already provide to many of our seniors. And will also give our residents in our facilities and our families the care and dignity and peace of mind that they deserve, because we always know that it's always about dignity. Thank you.
And now we're going to hear from Lorraine Cullen, Department of Public Health Branch Chief of Healthcare Quality and Safety.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lorraine Cullen. I'm the Branch Chief for Healthcare Quality and Safety at DPH. Thank you very much for inviting me to join you today. Both pieces of legislation being signed today represent thoughtful approaches to the challenges we continue to see in our nursing homes and home health care services. Thank you to the Governor, the Office of Policy and Management, the Department of Social Services, the Department of Aging and Disability, our long-term care ombudsman, and my colleagues at the Department of Public Health and our legislative partners for working together to accomplish this unprecedented level of reform in our nursing homes and long-term care industries. Throughout COVID and the years following, DPH saw a sharp increase in quality of care concerns in our nursing homes. As we have worked to address the complaints over the past few years, we learned that we simply didn't have the necessary tools that would allow us to take actions that were responsive to the issues that we saw and that appropriately held the decision makers accountable for the care they delivered to our most vulnerable populations. With this legislation, we will have the enforcement tools needed to protect the healthcare quality and safety of our state residents. Thank you.
Okay, now I welcome State Representative Michelle Cook.
Good afternoon, and Jane, thank you so much for letting me be your "it's going to be okay, Jane" girl. And thank you all for being here. It's such an important day. And to all of our partners and all of our support staff. We've heard from many about what's in our legislation. So I'd like to just take us back for a couple of minutes to 2020. And in facilities like this, family members that were on the outside were not allowed to come in. We didn't have means to communicate. Caregivers who were in our buildings doing the best that they could with the means that they had were stretched very thin. And we had incredible leaders in that, and then we had some bad actors. And I would be remiss to say that we wouldn't be sitting in a room if we didn't acknowledge that there are good and bad in everything. I wrote the governor a letter May 17th, 2020, with about 17 items listed on that letter of things that were really wrong with nursing homes. As I, my family, and many others, like Representative Bolinsky, we lost members of our loved ones to the pandemic in a nursing home. And I just wanted to thank the governor for ensuring that not only did you hear the letter, but you have not given up on the fight of the things that we know that needed to change. And as we age, it's inevitable, we're all doing it, we should have the right to age in the place that we choose to. Some people don't have a choice. But at the end of the day, the choices that are made for us or because of us should be in a safe environment where no one should have to go to bed at night to fear retaliation. No one should come to work that day to fear that they're the only staff that's taking care of 84 residents. It's not acceptable. And we should ensure, as we do in these pieces of legislation, that big money stays out of healthcare. Because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that those folks that are in facilities like this beautiful facility that we are in today know that we have their back. And if they can't trust their legislative body, their governor, and the departments that are here to fight for them, who can they trust? And a lot of times family members don't have someone down the street or across the state. Maybe they have no family at all. But I do know one thing as well. Nobody should be stuck in a room with 4 people. Nobody should be stuck in a room with 3. We choose to live a way that we choose to live outside of our home, but if we are put in a facility or we choose a facility, we should be able to have our own personal space. And a lot of times, once you lose that dignity and that respect of personal space, you lose the will to live. Nobody should be that way. And I think the other thing that we recognize as well is we're not able to be everywhere. And so we rely on our partners to give us that feedback. And with the feedback that they give us, they should not be fearful of the retaliation because they were able to speak up for what is wrong in the facility that they are in. We owe them much better than that. And if it was not for our more mature residents, there would not be us. And if we look at the bookends of life, and I know that the Senator talked about early child care education, which is something that I harp on and talk about regularly. Those bookends of life are so vitally important, the youngest and the oldest. And often they don't know how to use their voice, or they're afraid. We need to entrust that we are their voice, that they should not be afraid, and that you can live with dignity and respect, and that our caregivers, whether they're inside a facility or out, are not put in harm's way to do the job that they are so passionate about. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to our speaker, who always listens to us, and I'm so proud of you. Full disclosure, I was his mentor when he came in, and he knew more about politics than I ever will. And your commitment to bipartisanship, I think, is so much to be learned from every other level of government than ours who run functionally. And to the governor and all of your staff, you've put commissioners in this place to ensure that we are moving in a forward direction with accountability. And our residents can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you enough. And for all of those who have lost members of their family or their friends, whether it be the pandemic or a horrifying situation in a facility or in their home, please know that we hear you, and we will continue to do everything that we can in our power to ensure to make you feel safer in the place that you're in. Thank you so much.
And now we're going to hear from Senator McCrory.
Okay, I'm being as brief as I could possibly be. I think everyone been thanks. I want to thank the governor for listening, Matt for being the person that you are. I'm Senator McCrory. I represent the great city of Hartford, Bloomfield. This is my community, Seabury. Give it up for Seabury. And Windsor. You know, I'm not really intimidated by a lot of people at the Capitol, but when I see those red shirts from AARP, and when they come up here and say, McCrory, this is what you need to do, then I do it. So I'll tell you, that's how we got that bill across in the Senate that last night. So that team, that red team came up there and made sure it got done. I say real briefly, our seniors, I'm at that age in my life where this is personal for me because I'm taking care of my mom now. And I understand the struggles that our aging population go through. All the red tape, a lot of that is going to be eliminated by this piece of legislation that we are so proud of. It talked about working across the aisle, taking care of our seniors, taking care of our parents, our grandparents is not a political issue. I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat. We all want to see our parents age respectfully in an environment that's conducive of continuing to learn and live. And that's what we did with this piece of legislation. I see my old friend over there, Don Noel, know me since I was a kid, been out here at Seabury. I want to thank you guys for pushing this legislation to make sure we, as a state of Connecticut, can make sure those people who have worked their entire lives, work your entire lives in this community, make sure you can gracefully live out those years in a community that is conducive to a population that you want to be like. Again, Governor, thanks for listening. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Matt. I want to thank everyone for getting this bill across the finish line, but we're not done. We're not done because you guys are not done. Thank you for having me, and thank you for coming to my district for this beautiful facility, and we want more of them like this across the state, don't you? All right. Thank you very much.
We also have Representative Bobby Gibson, who also represents Seabury and the town of Bloomfield. If you'd like to say a few words, Bobby.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Bloomfield. It's my honor to say a couple words here. Thank you to everyone up here, Speaker Ritter, Governor, Commissioners, everyone. This is so tremendous. Representative Jane Garibay, this is out of order, but can you come here, please? I want to give you a hug. Jane has worked so tirelessly on this piece of legislation like everyone else, my colleagues at the House. This is so important. Studies have shown that in a couple years, the age of people over 60, there will be more people in Connecticut over 60 than under 60. Our state is getting older. And so we have to make sure that we take care of our most precious generation. And as me, as your state representative, Bobby Gibson, I'm glad that I have allies here. We've fought so hard for our seniors and to make sure that seniors have the dignity. I mean, you've worked so hard that, you need to live comfortably. You need to have a place where you can have the rest of your life and to relax and have legislation, have people that you've put in office to be champions for you. Now I'm going to take a brief risk here, but there's some people in the audience that I'm so proud of that, you support me because now I'm here to fight for you like Mr. Don Noel, like Miss Crabtree, like, well, she's not a senior, but Deputy Commissioner Suzette Demethan Brown. And I have a very special shout out. I don't see everybody else here, but I have to give a shout out to my Sunday school teacher, who is now a senior, and she looked out for me as a kid. Now I'm looking out for you. I appreciate the truth, and I love you, Ms. Smith.
And now we're going to hear from Nora Duncan, the State Director of AARP, Connecticut.
All right, I grew up in Bloomfield. My parents still live here. I was here Sunday for dinner, not here, but I'm going to take my shout out for Bloomfield. Bloomfield High Class of 91, if there's anybody else. So I think Representative Cook really made me think when she was giving her remarks, so mine are going out the window. First, I do want to obviously thank the Speaker, thank the Governor, thank the chairs and the ranking members of the Aging Committee for making this issue bipartisan and support, just the tremendous amount of support. But this wasn't the first year we started working on this stuff, okay? So this has been going on for a long time. I'm pretty sure I wrote the Governor 30 or 40 letters on behalf of AARP during COVID. I have a distinct recollection of walking down my street with my earbuds in, not using good language, not at Representative Cook, but with Representative Cook. Mairead Painter on my deck when no one was allowed to be with anybody, plotting what we were going to do to help people who are living in long-term care, receiving community services at home. And so this has been going on for a long time, so long that Claudio worked for me when I started working on this stuff. So, a couple people made the point, Connecticut, not just Connecticut, but by 2034, there will be more adults in America over age 65 than there will be people under 18. And that is, there's declining birth rates, but there's also medicine and great places that take care of us and a commitment to aging well that so many of us have. But, it means we need to think differently. We need to think creatively. And these bills do a lot of that, but they took a lot of time. And I really want to acknowledge the long-term hard work. And seeing a 5001 come out of the Aging Committee 5 years ago, that would have been unheard of. So congratulations, and again, thanks to the Speaker. So this is all, I'm not going to go through all the things that were mentioned, but I just want to pull out something really important. We talked about presumptive eligibility, but I'm not sure that people really know what that means. That means that if you're sitting in a hospital, you are assumed not necessarily that you're going to have to go to a nursing home, because that's the only place where they would presume you were eligible for Medicaid, where you'd presume this would be paid for. People don't want to go directly from the hospital to nursing homes in the vast majority of cases. So now we will presume that you can go home and get taken care of at home if that's possible, and that is where you want to be. That is a tremendous policy change that is going to impact people directly. But a lot of people don't have the means to make those decisions for themselves. And this is a tremendous piece of policy change that Claudio was working on many years ago when he worked for me. So thank you, Claudio. You know, the 3- and 4-bedroom nursing homes. So I have a college student who just graduated a couple weeks ago from Indiana University. Go Hoosiers. He had his own room and his own bathroom for 3 of those 4 years, and one of them for most of the time, but that was because he was one of those COVID students, and his roommate never showed up. But my daughter goes to the University of Florida, has her own bathroom, her own bedroom, common area. She's spending the summer in Boston. 2 bedrooms, 2 beds in a room, big common area, 1 bathroom. If that's how we pay for our college kids, that's how we need to be paying for some of the most vulnerable people in our population. So, amen. Okay, so that's how we do it in Bloomfield. Thank you again, everybody. Appreciate it, and congratulations to everyone who worked so hard.
I think this press conference has gone on longer than most, but these 2 bills had 36 bills inside them, or 36 legislative pieces. And these things have been talked about for a long time. But one of the reasons was we have the dream team. We have a governor who supports aging. We have a Speaker of the House that had faith. I remember when I texted him, because someone said, well, you should see if it's one of his priorities. And I did. He goes, well, you know, there's a lot of people that want theirs. And then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a text, you got 5001. And I'm clueless. I'm like, oh, that's great. Wow, you know? And as I started looking into it, I understood what that charge was. And I was very fortunate. The bipartisan, this is the way it should be in the rest of the committees. This is the way it should be in Washington, D.C. And it'll bring me to tears because I am fortunate enough to have the best ranking member in the state of Connecticut, which is Mitch Bolinsky. And this whole process was hours and hours and hours. And it took this whole team, and I'm going to just ask really quick, because this is our moment after many hours of hard work. Stand up if at some point you talk to the Aging Committee, Tracy, people that I didn't recognize, but stand up if you had anything to do with the legislation that the governor is signing today. Come on, Claudio, Zani. Come on, Adam. Right there. And all of you. This was the perfect storm. It really was. And Amelia, you too. Amelia's my friend also, and she is my inspiration. With that, I'm going to call up Mitch Bolinsky to say a few words, and if Lisa, Senator Seminara and Senator Kelly would like to join him, and also Representative Zawistowski.
This is one of the happiest days of my life. And when I say that as a family caregiver. My wife Louisa and I spent 10 years caring for 3 adult parents, and we've experienced a lot. We've worked through nursing homes, we've worked through assisted livings, we have worked through home caregivers, skilled and unskilled. We have worked through AARP, through Alzheimer's Association, through every single iteration that every single family that experiences aging of its elders seems to go through. And let me tell you something, moms, dads, children, it's frustrating. So I have to say right now, thank you to every caregiver in this room, because whether you are doing it as a profession or whether you are doing it out of just pure love, it is perhaps the most important job, maybe the second most important job. You have to raise your children right first. But when you raise them right, they are there for you. So to the elders, to the caregivers, God bless you. So it has been such an incredible honor to work on this project. And we keep talking about the bipartisanship. And the bipartisanship shows us a couple of things. First of all, I speak to you as a Republican legislator. I am Mitch Bolinsky. I was elected first in 2012, and I am serving the sunset of my 6th term representing Newtown and Sandy Hook. I've had a very full life. I've had a very full legislative career, and I've accomplished a lot of very important things for people, because that's the orientation and that's the meaning of bipartisanship. When push comes to shove and we are talking about human beings and we're talking about quality of life, ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing more important than having a connection that's loving, a connection that's caring, and allowing folks to age in the way that they choose and be supported in that process. So I spent 30 years before being a legislator as a marketing person. So I have a tendency to sometimes go on, but basically, the job of every marketing person is to see the needs and translate needs into ideas and improvements for life. And then we have to present those ideas to salespeople that go out and sell them. That's where you can't get too long. So I actually had intended to just talk about what these 2 pieces of legislation really mean. Everybody before me has defined and thanked the entire world. So I'm not going to repeat that, but what does this mean? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing before you today to tell you that this is transformational. This is a societal change that Connecticut is leading the way in, because research shows us that 80% of the people that are aging would prefer to age in their own homes or with family. Aging in place, it's called. We've been talking about aging in place for at least a decade. This year, with the Speaker's Bill, we brought what Nora Duncan introduced to us as presumptive eligibility to people that want to age in their own home. It will be possible for them to have professional caregivers, skilled and unskilled, in their homes instead of defaulting to the old model of nursing home commitment, which is not where people want to be. And from experience, I can tell you it's not the best place for most individuals. So this transformation, in combination with better oversight, consumer protections, And the quality of life issue of not having people 4 or 3 to a room, which was a big priority of Governor Lamont's. This is like a double whammy of aging policy for the 21st century, and it puts Connecticut in the forefront of facilitating all of that. And my parents look down from heaven, and from time to time I can hear them say things. Right now, they're as proud of this work as I am. So, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit with you. I'm going to ask a couple of my colleagues to say a word, but not before I take a moment to say thank you to Governor Lamont, to Speaker Ritter, because when we talk about bipartisanship, it's not that often that a minority representative gets the opportunity to work on the team that's handling a speaker's bill or a governor's bill, much less both in the same year. And ladies and gentlemen, with the help of all of these people, we moved a mountain. And it's going to make a big difference for people and their quality of life in the state of Connecticut forever. So. This is Lisa Seminara. She is my co-ranking member on this committee. She is the bipartisan piece that moved it through the Senate.
Thank you, everybody. I'm so happy to be here. And I, too, had a prepared speech and wanted to thank everybody, and that's been done numerous times. So in an effort to keep it brief, I will say just thank you to everyone and move on to one little piece. I am, in addition to being this state senator for District 8, I am a licensed clinical social worker by trade. And in the beginning of my career, I was in home health care and learned a lot about home health care, but learned a great deal more when my father was diagnosed with dementia and we were forced to put him in a nursing home. And I too lost my father to COVID in a nursing home situation. All of that has fueled me, and I have been honored to work with the Aging Committee to pass legislation just like this, so that we can ensure that our seniors are given dignity and respect, and that they are provided with high quality care wherever they call home. And I am so very, very honored to be part of what was mentioned earlier of the dream team, because I truly believe that this was not only a bipartisan effort, but a bicameral effort. And we all worked very closely together, and I must admit, at the way end of it, I was throwing in little things here and there that definitely made it difficult, but again, in the end, it is two very good pieces of legislation. So I'm very proud to be part of that team, and I thank you and thank everyone here for that effort.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm Tammy Zawistowski, a state representative from East Granby, neighboring East Granby, Windsor Locks in Suffield. As somebody who has dealt with issues with nursing homes and aging in place for both two in-laws and two parents, this is an issue that's very near and dear to my heart, and I was glad to do at least a small part in trying to get this over the finish line. I would like to say thank you to the governor, to the speaker, and especially to members of the Aging Committee who really put in a lot of work. And in the spirit of nobody ever being criticized for too short a speech, I want to say thank you again, and I will pass this on.
Good afternoon. I'm State Senator Kevin Kelly. I reside in Stratford and represent Stratford, Shelton, Monroe, and Seymour. I was a member of the Aging Committee for quite a while, so I'm very understanding of this, not only from practical legislative experience, but I'm also an elder law attorney and worked in DSS for 13 years in the Medicaid program. So what I'd like to first do is thank the governor. Thank the governor for his leadership with regards to seniors and long-term care issues this session to make sure that we protect not only the seniors, but their independence and dignity. Also, the speaker for making this initiative 5001, although that's inside baseball, what that really means is that from a legislative perspective, he placed seniors where they rightfully belong, and that is #1 in the legislative agenda. It's been a long time coming. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As I look around the room, there are so many familiar faces. From Claudio, who I remember when he worked for you, Nora, to Mag Morelli and Tracy Wodach, Mairead Painter, Ann Hughes, Christy Kovacs, I'm going to say too many names and miss somebody along the way, Nora Duncan, who have been instrumental in this fight to make sure that the voice of seniors is heard so that they are enabled to live their life with as much independence and dignity, but not forgetting, because this bill also helps caregivers and the families of those who support seniors to enable them to live where they want to live, the lifestyle that they choose. It's the family and the caregivers who are the champions in the community that enable this to happen along with seniors. And what these bills do is it recognizes and appreciates those efforts. So there's a lot of people here that we have to thank that we've seen over the years. There's people here that have gone to great lengths to make sure these issues were foremost this year and that we did get 187 to 0 because it was that important. Okay, but it all goes back to where it all started, and there was actually somebody here who was there when it all started, Representative Cook, who was on aging when I was first on aging back after the 2010 election. Okay, but we also had leadership then, like we do now with Senator Hochadel, Representative Garibay, Senator Seminara, and Representative Bolinsky. We had Senator Edith Craig and Representative Joe Serra, who I'm going to tell you right now, I know Edith's looking down, very proud, okay, and I know Joe Serra, because this also dealt with looking at grandparents raising grandchildren. We're going to look at that issue and study that issue. But the lesson we learned on aging back then and has come forward to this day is that it's not a Republican or Democrat issue. It's a people issue, and it's important. I remember Joe Serra driving this into me. It's important, even if we know these initiatives this year or last year or the year before aren't going to pass. It was incumbent on the Aging Committee to make sure that the agenda that's going to benefit seniors continues to live and continues to pass out of committee, even if it dies on a House or Senate calendar, because it represents the need of the seniors. And because of that, you know, presumptive eligibility we've been fighting for 13 years, I believe. Okay, but because every year we passed it out and every year we stuck with it, guess what? We have it now. And that's a success. That's something everybody who had a hand in this is responsible for. They did wonderful work. We're going to continue to do wonderful work, and as long as we continue to have leadership like we have today, we're going to get there. So thank you to everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to be here, and I look forward to good work ahead. Thank you.
So before we start the bill signing, I would be remiss if I did not call up Anne, Dominique, and Mary. Your gift to the public today will be not to give another speech, but would you just come up, because you worked so hard on this bill, come right up. They are my colleagues in the House. Ann is from Easton. Dominique?
Norwalk and Westport.
Norwalk and Westport. And Mary? Bristol. Bristol. I remember their names, but I don't remember where they were from. But on behalf of all of us, we are ready. We're ready to get it done, Governor, and would like to turn the program over.
Hold it, Jane. I've got a 15-minute stem winder I wanted to share with you all.
I was timing mine this morning.
I'm worried the pens are going to be dropped.
Just on a personal note, 10 days ago, Annie and I became grandparents for our first time. So I feel like particularly very pro-grandparent today. And listen to Michelle Cook talking about the bookends of life. I was sort of thinking, what bookend am I on? It's a long, big book at the end. But you looked at a little Finn's eyes, you realize that you just want the state of Connecticut to be a place where everybody can call home. And especially those who have maybe spent our lives here, make sure it's a place that we can grow older with grace and dignity. Just a reminder, everybody's here for personal reasons. You know, we have a kid speaker, and this was his number one priority, because he understands better than anybody why we want to make sure this is a place we can call home. You heard from Lisa and Michelle, the personal reasons that bills are so important to them and what it means. And I got to tell you, Jane Garibay was right there, during coming out of COVID, the complaints, a lot of the worries we heard from different nursing homes. Jane went to every one of those nursing homes. She knocked on their doors, she looked in the room, and she said, I'm going to take care of you. And that's why we're here today. Two main things I think this bill does is, one, as you heard, is a transparency. I want you to be able to know what are the best places you can go where you want to be. And I can save you a lot of time. Seabury's at the very top of the list. So that's a good thing. And this allows us to reward good actors, and that's what this does in terms of reimbursement rates. And on the other side, we've got public health and DSS taking a good hard look at those places that maybe need a little special attention, make sure that they're held accountable as well. But this is just, we're all here today on both sides of the aisle to just remind people that we're really glad you call Connecticut home. Let's sign the bill before it takes